Delayed response. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this now moment. I was just giving the video a chance to catch up and turning my phone off, muting it. I'm just gonna go in a little flow. So my intention is oneness, love, light, benevolence for all. I have so much to share, but it seems like every time I have this stuff to share, it shifts and then it shifts, and it's almost like by me recognizing that I want to share it, it's already morphed. So I wanted to just share that. Everything's changing very rapidly. Just briefly, I will be doing some videos soon. I just did my first Zoom session with another star seed and light worker, my star sister, Candace, and we're deciding if we're going to post it or not, because it was our first interaction in this way. And I'm recognizing that I'm being guided to share a lot of the sessions that I do with others. So I'm going to be, if of course we don't get too personal, and some of the sessions I'll be posting on YouTube, because what I'm recognizing is the whole idea and concept around healing is totally changed and different for myself. I don't want to speak for everybody else. From my perspective, I started out with my mission as a healer, feeling like I needed to assist the earth and I needed to assist my fellow beings. And I still love to assist in any way that feels right and I feel guided to do. But I no longer feel like, and I've talked about this a few times in my last videos, for me, it's more of a co-creative expression of my own divinity that is coming through, that others are able to then tap into and feel. That is what has morphed for me over the past year. So it began where I was, and I still have beautiful light workers I work with, where I pull through this energy that can essentially assist somebody else in removing cords or, clearing energy from their home or whatever it might be. But it's shifted to where I'm doing it more in a teaching style. It's like I'm raising my frequency. I'm here as me, as a multidimensional being, interfacing through this interaction, through the heart, through all of the energy space that I'm existing within, through my highest aspect, through source, from source. And in doing this, it's giving the other person I'm working with the opportunity to connect in with their own. They're already healed. So it's a matter of finding those balances. I share what I see in that person, perhaps what I'm feeling, and then we talk about it. And it's becoming more of, and sometimes just in that conversation, in that exchange, it shifts the energy around the whole situation, whether it be physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, etc. Now, this isn't, so the reason I'm sharing this is I'm recognizing that it isn't I'm cutting cords, or it isn't I'm performing Reiki, it isn't it's energy healing, it's quantum healing, it's creative toning and sound language and linguistics, and an inflow message from my highest aspect. So all of these things are being utilized, but they're all different expressions of a form of communication, healing, and interaction. I keep saying healing because it's a word that we're very used to. But the message that keeps coming through is it's old, it's used to. So what it is it's essentially bringing us into a co-creative collaboration together, where our frequency brings us into that space of multidimensionality, where we're creating that letting go. We're creating that integration. We're bringing up something that maybe was buried or forgotten about that is ready to be cleared. And we're working together in that. And I feel like that's happening and shifting for a lot of light workers in that way. So what's happened for me is I've decided to expand out and share some of these sessions that I have with light workers on YouTube, if it feels appropriate. But more importantly, I was guided to, obviously, if you guys have seen my videos, I've been directed to start a blog, but it was much more challenging. And I found myself in resistance with the technology, more so than I thought I would be. But another presentation has come up, and what my guides, again, my guides are me. So that's something I'll probably end up not using in terminology anymore. because I used it so that people would see that I am connecting to a higher aspect, but I feel like we are embodied we are our highest aspects embodied, or our higher selves embodied. So we are connecting directly through source. And in doing this, we automatically connect in with our higher guidance team. They're always assisting us. We're just there with them. So it's through us. Anyways, so as we are connecting, I'm being guided to share these expressions, experiences, collaborations in a format in flow. So I'm looking forward to sharing those with you guys. I just did a session with my star sister Candace, and we kind of went back and forth. It was our first time doing this in this way together, and I think we both recognized that it was a little awkward because it was our first time kind of expressing in a linearized format. And we're going to be doing it in a lot more flow style sequences, so you guys can see that I'm not the only one that does it this way. And what happens when you get together with other starseeds who have these similarities, and how sparks fly, how aha moments are had, how just talking about this and coming from a co-creative aspect is healing. It is vibrationally enhancing or expanding our awareness. So if you guys ever watch interviews, I love watching soulology. I think it's Todd Messina. He's great. I love his style. And I just love listening, because when we listen to these interviews, if there are two people that are connecting heart to heart, or if you're listening to somebody who speaks your language, it is quantum, and it is healing in that moment, because all of a sudden it's like, ah. And when you have that, ah, that is coherence, being in your heart, joy, implosion. And that's what this is all about. So if you find joy in watching somebody talk about the Pleiadians, or Sirius, go for it. And maybe that's something you're tapping into right now, you're integrating right now, you're expanding out to right now, you feel a connection with right now. And then maybe 5 minutes later, you might be moving on to Arcturus, or you might be moving on to Lemuria, which is, you know, more earth frequencies. Or you might be moving on to a certain color frequency. It doesn't matter what, it could be an animal, power animal. All of this is relevant, because what I'm seeing is the way that we are assisting one another, co-creatively interacting in raising the frequency and vibration, which in doing that naturally provides healing. What is healing? Being whole, being complete. It brings us back into completion, into oneness, from my perspective. So I wanted to share that with you guys, because if you guys have been watching my videos, you might see that I've kind of shifted a bit over the course of the last year. So just to go back just a little bit, I still do the light language if I feel guided to. I'm still toning and singing and speaking in flow format. I'm still writing. I'm still doing things in that way, but it's coming from a completely different perspective. We're all going through that in our own way, which is really exciting. We're all going through this together, and part of what I'm doing is assisting in sharing. Activations are happening. You don't have to just work one-on-one with somebody, but what I am being shared is the more that we do connect, whether it be one-on-one work, or whether it be listening to these videos, or whether it be going out, it's about not just being by ourselves. We aren't alone in this. That's what this is all about. So I wanted to share that. So I'm excited to share those videos with you guys. I'll be doing those more and more frequently in place of the blog, but not necessarily in place of it. Maybe I'll be adding it to a blog format eventually, once I get all of that into alignment. So I'm still planning on connecting with these other star seeds who we have experienced multidimensional entanglement, I guess would be the right word, in such a way that we're able to create a message that the collective can benefit from. So those are some of the star seeds I'm going to share with you guys, because you might feel guided to reach out and connect with them, because they might be part of your soul family. So fun, right? All right. And guys, I wasn't trying to lead out. It can be done through artwork. You know, it can be done through music. It can be done really through anything that makes you feel more expansive and coherent. As we come together in these new ways and these new waves of frequency and these new waves of being, we lift the constrictions, we lift the constructive criticism. So they're showing me that it's not about being like, when we used to be in the old way, it's like, it's okay to receive constructive criticism. That in itself is old. It's not about criticizing anything. It's not about putting anything into a box, because that isn't constructive. It's about constructive creation. So in a moment that we feel like we maybe didn't do things in the 100% best way that we probably could have, we're going to know it. We're going to feel it, right? And we're going to bring that back. Somebody else might say, maybe we could try it this way. It's going to be less criticism and more constructive, creative ability. Lots of plays on words here. As we tune in, so truth in, as we tune into our truth of who we are, of who we want to be, of who we wish to play with, who we wish to interact with, and how we interact with others, we then allow this spaciousness within us to expand and to create more. We create more. I'm seeing like Morea. Like, it's almost like we're creating this island. We're expanding out. We're creating more land mass. We're creating more collective co-creation, which is essentially truly from our imagination aspect, creating new worlds, creating new alignments, creating new technologies, all kinds of really cool things. And what they're showing me is the new technologies aren't just going to be in the science world. They're in a lot of different arenas, but they're also, so what they're showing me is the old way was you were in science, you learned about science technology through a science magazine. It's not going to be that way. Everything is like zigzagging and interacting and crisscrossing with one another. It's, again, I keep getting this reference to elastic scattering, which I'm really not even sure what that means. I have to go back in and play with that a little bit. All right, I'll pause this just for a moment. All right, hello. I just looked it up, and actually I wrote this down, and I hadn't looked it up yet. Some things I'm going to post, and it's talking about elastic scattering, and it's a form of particle scattering in theory, nuclear physics, and a lot of things have been coming through to me about nuclear and hydrogen, but that's a whole other ball of wax. And it just talks in, I'm going to skip to the end where it says its direction of propagation is modified, and then they put in parentheses, and this is off of Wikipedia, by interaction with other particles and or potentials. So what am I referring to? Interacting with one another. So how we're interacting with one another is creating this, and I'm sure there's more to this from a science aspect. So essentially, because we're interacting science and math and English, and we're playing with these new words, and I'm pulling in scientific physics wording that then triggers certain thought processes that brings it forward in an artistic form. And they're joking and they're saying autistic. And I'm saying this because autism is a form of, we're playing with that word. It is multidimensional aspect, and it is a form of, you're on a spectrum for a reason, a spectrum frequency, a bandwidth. So it's like we are being this multidimensional aspect, but we're able to pull in those frequencies and express from this particular field. So from this new spectrum, and that's a whole other video about that. But I say that a lot, don't I? I've got a lot of videos to make. As we allow ourselves to co-create and connect in this kinesthetic playground, in this energy, this expansion occurs, and this interaction allows us to express from this new dimensional pull. So they're showing me a patterning that's being created, and there's a lot of shapes that I'm seeing that, of course, we'll just say it looks like lace. It looks like lattice work. but it's very lacy, like a doily. And essentially this is connecting, it always reminds me of fascia. If you look up fascia and what it looks like, that's what energy around us to me looks like, and that's what grid systems kind of look like around us. I'm sure it has more of a geometric format than fascia, although fascia may have more of a geometric format than we've actually come to recognize yet. I'm not really sure. I'm getting a yes on that. So as we change how we interact with one another, it changes how we interact with this grid face, is what they're showing. It shows how we interact and change, creates this multiplicity, this multiplication, this higher representation, and it helps us to multiply our frequencies at such a contextual layer that it's unstoppable. So all of this other stuff that we're worried about, when we interface with it, we interact with it from a place of fear and instability, it furthers that into that field. But when we come from this aspect of allowing ourselves to just co-create and interact with one another in an expansive communication, now they want me to kind of go, and I say they, and this is going to be shifting too, because I always was used to that old terminology of channeling, right? But who are we really channeling? And I see channeling as a connection to source, direct link into source energy. So when I say channeling, I am tapping into that as a conduit. And through that are my guides are source energy. My other aspects are source energy. So I'm able to then channel or tap into my other versions of me, but it isn't so fractal, or it isn't so scattered anymore. And again, it's that elastic scattering. It's like that elastic scattering was all out here, and now it's pulled in, and it's more stabilized. So it's not like I'm here and I'm there and I'm tapping into this and I'm tapping into that. We are doing that, but we're doing it from here in a much more organized format in a nonlinear sense. So what happens is as we tune into these frequencies and we change our interactions with one another by saying, well, you're wrong, I'm right. That needs to leave. That needs to be addressed. There is no home for that here. That does not exist in the mathematical equation that is oneness, that is unification, that is the true fractal. It's not, that's like, there is no right or wrong. You are combining and co-collaborating and co-creating together, and in doing it from a place of coherence, in like, let's do this because we want to create a better earth. We want to create a better communication with one another and our extrasensory friends, our extraterrestrial, our off-earth-based friends, or our inner earth-based friends, or our multidimensional aspects. It doesn't matter. What they're saying is we need to be that first impression, right? We need to come forward and be the leader, and that's what my last video talked about, the master of our reality. And by doing that, we can then create this new interface where we light up like neurotransmitters. We don't see the brain, which we do when we have blockages, right? But in theory, the brain doesn't say, I'm not going to transmit that signal because I don't feel like it. Or I'm not going to transmit that signal because that signal isn't on the same page as me. Granted, there has to be this open communication, but it's not about that. And that is a very old, ego-driven, old dimensional way of being. And so we're being invited to say, let's give this space, because I may not agree in 100% with what this person is saying, but I do agree with their methodology in whatever this might be. But I do think we want the same thing. So this person may be a little off. This person may not be in the same line of work that I'm in. This person may not be in the same lineage that I am. This person may not be in the same caliber of where we're playing. One person might be very left brain, one person might be very right brain, English major versus science. The point is, let that all go, because ultimately we're coming from the same place. We want the same things. And if we don't, we need to be addressing, where are our desires coming from? Is that what we really want, or is that someone else has been telling us we really should want, right? Or and so on and so forth. As we allow ourselves to traverse between these matrices, between these, so there's a lot of play on words here. As we allow ourselves to commune with our higher dimensional aspects, we allow ourselves to focus in on the reality structure that we truly wish to create from truth, from our desire to have a co-creative collaboration of joy, of something that feels less resistant, of letting go resistance and just enjoying and having fun and playing. Because we've obviously gotten away from that. Now we're being invited to get back into that. Like, why did we decide to become a doctor? Was it because we knew we'd make a lot of money? Well, the idea and concept behind our values is shifting. So therefore, that particular profession, if that is the reason somebody got into it, they may find that they no longer wish to be in that profession anymore, because they're not in it for the right reasons. Or rather than saying right or wrong, they're not in it for the reasons that are supportive of this new interface, interaction, matrix, fascia, grid version of reality. It doesn't work anymore. It's like the light bright. Have you guys ever seen that old game with the light bright? I used to love that as a kid. And you plug in the little lights and you can make pictures. Well, if you don't have, it's not lining up. Like, the light bulb is out. You can't keep trying to stick it in there, because it's not going to light up. It's done. That light bulb has burned out, right? So we got to find a new light bulb. And that might be meaning shifting either the profession or getting back to the truth, because money isn't the truth. The reason we want the money is more of the truth. So if we want the money because we want to feel secure, we want to be able to support our family, then it's really that we're looking at that because we want to be abundant. And if we are in abundance, the support, whether it be in the form of money or food or shelter, will come from existing within that abundance. It won't be about, well, I need to make this amount of money because I want to drive this car and I want it to be this model and I want people to respect me. That's old energy. That's old paradigm. So that is something that's no longer going to fit. And we are being invited, because when we interact now with who we really are, we might say, you know, the old me really wanted that fill in the blank. And this new version of me really doesn't want that anymore. I just want to be happy. That is the interaction. And then when we come from that place, we interact with other people and we see them, rather than being outside of ourselves and still focusing on the end results. Like, you're having this conversation with someone because you know that it's going to make you this amount of money, which is going to bring you that much closer to that car. I'm using that as an example. I hope you guys are kind of following. It's like, that's not the play. That's not the interface. That is blockage, 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 old paradigm. Now it's like, you know, this person's really bright. I'm really enjoying interacting with them. And this is a really rewarding experience. Yes, this whole interaction, if you're a doctor, I'm using that as an example, I'm going to get paid for this interaction. But because of this interaction, we've now discovered something that's going to help them. And in me discovering that and playing with this, it's helping me. And now on top of that, I value this. And so I also value the money that I get paid to do this. But this is going to allow me to continue to interact in this way. So that's shifting the entire idea and concept about our profession or our career. And if that can't happen, then that's the clue that the light bulb has burnt out and it's time to replace it. You can't replace it with a new paradigm or a new shift in perspective and attitude. It might be that the new shift and the new perspective and the new attitude is helping you to recognize that you never wanted to be a doctor in the first place. You always just wanted to own a child care and work with children, or fill in the blank. You wanted to be a professional rollerblader. Now, granted, if that ship has sailed, maybe you want to go and volunteer. I don't know why is it professional rollerblader. I have all these pictures that come in that are really funny, but maybe you want to go buy a roller skating rink and bring roller skating back in because you just love it. It's fun. It's something that, you know, I'm just using any example really because it makes you feel like a kid again, right? So that might be what it's all about. Or it might be teaching your kids how to rollerblade. Who knows? I don't know where that came from. It was a lot of fun though. So I'm going to end on that note because I really feel like that was enough. And this is shifting for all of us. I'm sharing in this adventure with you guys. I'm sharing in these presentations. You know, I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm so grateful for you guys for sharing with me. I'm grateful for you guys sharing the videos. I'm grateful for you guys who I've connected with in session work. I'm grateful for you just interacting in this way and allowing this frequency to connect. It's an honor. I'm really honored. And yeah, in love and light, you guys have fun creating. Namaste.